It's
Welcome.
showtime. It's episode 21.
Practical AI. Here we go. Here we are. We have a very special day today. Our son turned 5 today. Yay! Happy birthday, Max.
Balloons. Confetti.
Yay, balloons everywhere.
Enhancement to the broadcast.
I know. He should be celebrated by everybody. He's amazing.
That's true. They'll know him later. They don't know him
exactly.
They'll know him later.
All right. Well, listen, we have a ton of news today to cover. And obviously, we're going to have lots of news trends. We're going to do 2 deep dives into 2 interesting topics that are happening. And then we're also going to dive into AI economics of how AI company actually makes money these days and age. And we're going to be talking about how they went all the way to 100 million ARR. We're going to talk about what works and what doesn't work when it comes to their pricing and marketing and all of that stuff. And then we're going to do funding. And I also have a fun little demo for you guys, because I learned something new this week and I wanted to show and demo what I'm learning so you can all learn with me.
That's the real play here, gang. It's the tools you can use to go out and be as impressive as Olga. Well, maybe approach her level of impressiveness.
Well,
we're all striving to be as good as you, ma'am.
You're too sweet, but thank you so much. I will take it. So let's dive into this. So today we're actually going to start with the flash news. What I did is, instead of going and doing a deeper dive in all the news, I decided that I want to demonstrate to you guys kind of what happened in the world of AI over this week. So as you can probably notice, I am using a different tool, which I will be talking about. Can you see this?
We can.
What exactly can you see?
It's very small, so we need to zoom in and pan to the individual parts of the graphic as we go through this.
Sounds good. So as I'm going to move forward, so basically, I am using Miro today. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Miro, M-I-R-O.
And that's for presenting any kind of visuals or any kind of flows you want instead of doing the slides. So if you're getting whiplash, I am sorry. I'm still learning how to use it. But regardless. So
zoom in even more. Make like the December 11th thing real big.
Yeah. So this week in AI news, we have this. We're going to go chronologically. So December 11, Cursor adds a visual editor. So users now can click, drag, and tweak websites live as AI writes the code. So that came to Cursor this week. December 12th. I am super pumped about this. Universal translation. Google launches Gemini live translation. Get real-time audio translations in 70+ languages using any standard headphones. I am pumped about this because my husband doesn't speak Russian and my family doesn't speak really English. So I cannot wait for our next get-together so we can all talk and understand each other, and I don't have to translate and lose my voice.
Yeah, it's legit. So the way these tools are working is that you can, just like if you're speaking into a prompt, like you click the button to say, hey, I'm going to start speaking, and then you speak, and then it gives you some response after you're done. That's the way these translation tools work. You click hey, okay, somebody's speaking. It captures the voice input, and then in your headphones, it will then translate it into your language of choice so you can hear it. So it's like a opportunity to have almost real-time translation in your real-world interactions, which is super, super cool. I don't know if any of you have traveled abroad and used translation tools in the last few years, but the way it pretty much works is that you'll speak into Google Translate on your phone, and then it will translate, and then hand the phone to a waiter at a restaurant or something, and then they'll read it.
No more
in their language. Or you can speak to them, you can have it read it, but it's been kind of awkward. But this sounds really cool.
I want to test it out and speak Russian to you and see if you can understand me. That would be so fun. And maybe we can do German later, but that would be fun. Anyway, so test it out. It's available right now. Literally, you go to the app. I believe it's only Android right now. And then, test it out. Just it works with any AirPods. So just pop them in. I mean, you can watch movies, you can watch shows, I believe. You can pretty much do anything. So it will be interesting. Nice little thing. So next on our news is December 15, smarter workflows. So Zoom and Nvidia release major updates. And let me know if it's not centered or anything like that, because
it could be a little bigger, but it's all good.
Because I have no idea what I'm doing here.
There we go. Love it.
I really love that I can zoom it in. Like this mirror thing makes presenting really fun. I mean, I guess we'll let
it's like a vision board that you can pan around and zoom in on. It's really cool. So you put all your graphics on this and then do your thing.
I will make sure, like, I'm going to learn how to use it better, but I just wanted to start using it and not like try to procrastinate in doing this. So basically, Zoom automates meeting summaries while Nvidia open sources efficient AI models, Nemotron, and more on this later. I actually chuckled about Zoom because I think Zoom is kind of late to the party because there's so many kind of meeting notes these days. I'm glad they are participating, but I feel like it's kind of sort of delayed because, you know, I personally use something that already captures notes from the meetings for anything.
If you use Zoom, here's what it's doing. It's turning your messy meetings into auto notes, tasks, and summaries, and a fresh web spot to check everything. It's like a summary that you can go look at and you can see if it's all accurate. But it basically recaps for meetings. If you're doing that stuff on Zoom a lot, you can kind of skip right to the point, which would probably be nice.
Exactly. I mean, again, for those who use Zoom a lot, that's probably good. And I'm just glad that they're participating and not getting left in the
Nvidia thing, though. So here's what happened. So we covered in previous weeks how China has really the open source models of note. The only one in the US that is even noteworthy has been Llama, which is Meta. And pretty much all these companies that are trying to lower their compute costs are using Chinese open source models or experimenting with them. So this NVIDIA launching Nemotron 3 Nano open source is a big deal because this represents the major hardware player in the US coming out with its own open source model. You can expect this to get a lot of use, or at least a lot of looks, from companies, you know, like Canva being an example of somebody who's rolling AI and trying to lower their compute costs. Cursor's one. Anyone who's using basically has an AI wrapper that calls out to like OpenAI or whatever, they're going to be looking at models like this to lower their compute costs. So this is a big deal. This is actually relevant beyond that even. We'll get into that later. Very exciting stuff.
Very much. Moving on. So pro level image generation. We've got Chat GPT images. OpenAI upgraded their images. So create images 4 times faster with sharper editing and better handling of text. I actually played with that, and it was really good because you can go and specifically change things where before, like let's say Nana Banana, Gemini will create an image, and then it was really hard making tweaks. So ChatGPT for 2 days was ahead. It was really fun. I sent Chris a bunch of the pictures that I was like, oh my God, look how it's getting to it. I don't, you know, it's not hallucinating anymore. It's getting exactly what I want. And then Gemini decided to upgrade their thing too, which we'll talk about in a second. And now I mean, I think it's even better than ChatGPT images. So it was
what immediately stands out to me about these new models is they're good with words finally.
Yes, exactly.
Words on images have been a disaster.
You can actually edit image now with just prompts without kind of starting over and over and over. So they're not hallucinating as much. But OpenAI was winning for about 2 days until ta-da, Gemini Flash came in, and now it's really good at kind of taking direction and doing that. So can you see this good?
Yep, looks great.
Well, it's kind of dropping it a little bit. So December 17, Gemini Flash got dropped. It's faster, affordable model. It's really good now with images too. I've really enjoyed editing images this week without pulling my hair out. And they also came up with Opal vibe coding. I looked at it, and to me, I love the Flash, which is great. And Opal enables no-code AI app building, which is great, again. But I think Gemini honestly needs to work on their project more before they go into this app building, because right now I don't like using Gemini as much for projects because they don't really have a lot of context.
Yeah, the gems are weak and they hallucinate frequently.
Exactly.
So 2 things about this that I think are very interesting. So first, with the Opal vibe coding, there is a key phrase here that really kind of reveals what the point of vibe coding is. It makes shipping ideas feel effortless. Shipping ideas. I think about this like a cocktail napkin. A cocktail napkin is a two-dimensional sketch. It's very low resolution. It's crappy. It's just the best you can do is convey some sense of the idea you want to convey on something like that. Two-dimensional. This kind of vibe coding gives you the ability to ship a three-dimensional representation of your idea. It is not a finished product. That's not the point. I think this is the peak thing that we are likely to achieve with vibe coding or vibe anything is a three-dimensional representation of an idea. I think that is as good as it gets.
But somebody who's using it every day, like I would love to use Gemini more, and I feel like they need. Claude has projects and skills. OpenAI has projects, which is really great for context. But Gemini with gems, I try to love them, and I just hate them for now.
Yeah, they're not good yet. So the second point I want to make about this is that a real trend is emerging here. Like we're seeing the picture more clearly. Google is becoming the low-cost inference machine in the West. Like it is very clear. So Flash is the cheap inference. So if you're familiar with Claude has Haiku. That's their cheap inference model. Flash is the Google equivalent to Claude's Haiku. It's cheaper. I'm not going to say it's faster. I don't really know about the benchmarks and all that. But so one example of this that I think is important, we are seeing, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, we're seeing a desire for apps and businesses even, and just basic websites coming soon to have AI-powered assistants on the front end. So like you'll go to a website and you'll be able to talk to an AI right there, and it's going to tell you things about the business or the product or whatever it is you're trying to learn more about. That requires AI inference. There's a cost there. And I am saying right now that for the foreseeable future, Google will be powering those things. It's the only one that's even remotely cost-effective so far.
Well, listen, here I am talking trash about Google, but I created this visual in Google's product called NotebookLM, which I will be demoing later. So there's a way around kind of not having projects. It's a little bit longer, but there's definitely this beautiful, I love visuals. I'm a very visual person. And for me, seeing news like this is really fun and awesome. So the NotebookLM created this visual, and I'm kind of blown away, and I was wowed yesterday. So overall trend this week, AI is accelerating. AI agents complex work, capacity doubling every 7 months. That's what Dharmesh talked about in his newsletter, but we're seeing this everywhere.
He was talking about Moore's law basically applying to AI. So we saw Moore's law is like, every few years hardware power doubled.
Yeah.
Hardware capacity doubled, or whatever, however you want to characterize that. And basically that's happening in AI, and we're seeing about every 7 months right now. Now, surely that pace will slow. It's always faster in the beginning, slower in the end as you hit the long tail. But we're definitely in the midst of that right now. We talk about it every week, how, like one pulls ahead, another one pulls ahead. Like 6 months ago, we couldn't do anything that we're doing right now.
Here we are. I love what Ken says. This LLM arms race is unequivocally good for consumers. Competition is forcing rapid efficiency gains, lower costs, larger context windows, and faster innovation. Agree 100%. I feel like a kid in a candy shop every week. There's something new, something exciting. And playing with that has been really fun. So
I want to make one point before we move on. So I'll start doing this. It's like a glossary thing. So like we're all here. We hear these terms like context windows. So a glossary moment here. What is a context window? A context window is essentially how much information pertinent to your situation right now can you stuff into the model?
Yeah.
And to help it reason, to help it, so it can solve your problem. So that is a context window. That is about stuffing information that's relevant to you, relevant to your problem right now, into the model, giving it extra stuff it needs to solve the problem.
Yep. So anyway, this is news, flash news. We did this in 14 minutes. We're done with the news. You know what's going on. You're all caught up. Pretty much, you're free to go if you don't want to hear about all the deep dives.
News is boring. We're getting to the good stuff.
And AI economics. But no, this is great. Now you know what's the latest ones, what's the greatest, which models released what what Cursor did, you kind of know what's going on. So that's great. Good for you. Gemini Flash is really fast and really, really awesome.
Let's address this comment real quick. So the Joggler, new on the show, I haven't seen him before, welcome, says unequivocally good for consumers, maybe, but not exactly good for employees. AI will definitely replace some workers.
For sure.
That is true. But one thing that never gets talked about in this discussion is that the nature of jobs will change. A lot of jobs that currently exist shouldn't exist because they're simply procedural. They're people following like step 1, step 2, step 3, start here with this, deliver end result here. AI can perform a lot of those functions, and wherever that's happening, AI should perform those functions. Those functions don't require human ingenuity, the spark of human ingenuity to pull off. They're not like higher level coordination things. It is simply do this, do this, do this. It's like a cog in a factory line sort of task. And, I would like to think that humans are capable of more than just following a few sets of instructions throughout the day and collecting a paycheck. So it's the nature of the jobs that will change. We're actually going to look at later in the show how the nature of employment itself is changing.
Yep.
And we just don't know what it's going to look like on the other end of this thing yet. So, it's real easy to say, oh, it's going to replace some jobs. Well, yeah, some of the stuff we currently do, we're not going to be doing later, but we'll actually be doing other things instead. It's not like a total loss. So we're going to explore some of that later. I think it's really interesting, the direction this stuff is heading.
And I'm glad you're here because this is where we're learning how to use AI with whatever you're doing. So that way you become irreplaceable. Because the more I know how to use AI, the more powerful I become with whatever I'm doing. So it's kind of like a superpower. So
your power levels are definitely increasing.
Very much. Moving on. So we're doing the first deep dive of today. And we are going to be talking about, oh, did I not share this?
Let's do Dharmesh.
Yeah.
Hold it. I got it.
I got.
No, I want to go first.
Okay, go.
Because it's Dharmesh time.
It's Dharmesh time.
We got to use our graphic.
We love Dharmesh. One day we're going to have him on the show for sure.
I got to update this because this is funny. Because when I did this with Nano Banana and I tried to edit it and it sucked. And I got super frustrated, just quit. I was like, fine, I'll go with this, even though I don't like this graphic.
Yeah.
So I need to try it again with some edits and we'll see how it goes.
Dharmesh is he's the CTO of HubSpot, and he's really good at dissecting complex things into more simpler things. So this past week, he was on a show, Rowan.
Oh, Rowan Chung of The Rundown.
Yeah, so he was on the show. And it was about an hour interview, and I highly recommend it because he doesn't talk like pie in the sky. He's kind of more about the practical use. And what was interesting about it, there's a lot of interesting topics that he talked about, but I really wanted to distill these concepts that I put in a sketch note, which is about AEO, which... Did I say this right? GEO, AEO. I don't like when there's a lot of vowels because it's hard for me to pronounce them.
So I'm going with a new term that I hate a lot less than those terms. I'm calling it citation optimization.
Oh, okay. Whatever makes you happy.
CO.
So basically, check out his interview. But what he talked about a lot was, are you site worthy? And so what that means is I made this little graph here, over here. He's talking about, SEO, which we all know and kind of familiar with. And then we're talking about kind of the AEO, what's happening with that, because the more AIs are reading the content, the less they care about gaming certain mechanisms. And the demonstration here is, with AI, it's very easy to get kind of negative reputation very fast, because once AI starts looking at your site and there's not a lot of good content, and by good means AI readable, it will kind of put you in the bucket of kind of, negative reputation.
It's kind of, AI is good at analyzing content to see if it makes sense and points are actually being made.
Yeah, if
it's just keyword slop to cover a base and have some content on a page to rank, It's going to know a difference between something like that and something that really explores a topic.
So for all the new people who are here and like and they're learning about this. So basically, in the old world, if you publish something mediocre, worst case, nobody sees it, right? Zero traffic, you move on, no one cares. Today, the game is different. If you publish mediocre stuff, the algorithm learns you are mediocre, and that sticks. So it's hard to dig yourself out of that hole. So that's what that person that you see in the red box, he's digging himself in the hole because it's publishing stuff just to have something out there. But the worst outcome isn't zero traffic anymore. It's a negative reputation. Okay, so that's the first takeaway from what Dharmesh talked about.
Well, yes. So basically, it's quality over quantity for sure.
Right. Before it didn't matter. Now it matters a lot because it's kind of like, well, that person is that side is mediocre. Why would I want to go there? Now, moving on to the next square, the blue one. So what actually matters now? It's not just ranking; it's being cited. So when you ask ChatGPT or Perplexity something, they don't just give you a link. They actually quote something specific as the answer. That's what the robot says. This one, I'm citing this. So it's like they found it and it's like, aha, I found it. So that's the difference. Ranking means the algorithm thinks you're relevant. Being cited means the algorithm trusts you enough to use you as the answer. And that is the higher bar, right? So purple box, moving on, there's the thing that should kind of hit you because like we said, everything published right now, tweets, blog posts, your comments, it's being absorbed into the AI that's going to judge your credibility in the future. You cannot undo it. You cannot unsee it. So your 2024 content is training the 2027 AI that's going to evaluate you. And that's why what you publish today matters so much. So what do you actually do? In the green box, you stop optimizing for volume. This is why the slop that people produce out there is going to really hurt them down the road. And stop publishing stuff just to fill your feed. The old game, more content, more chances to rank, more chances to game. The new game, mediocre content equals negative reputation. Volume is actually risky now. So instead, ask yourself, would I want this quoted back to me? And if the answer is meh, it's okay, don't publish it. So only publish things that are worth citing, and that's the shift. Your reputation with AI is being built right now, and it's based on everything you publish today. So make it count, be selective. So in the practical way, what that means is instead of just like saying verbose stuff, in your blog, take a blog that's been very popular or like maybe had some traction, maybe it's an article, maybe it's a tweet, and do it in the way, publish it on your website in the way of question answer. So the shorter, the better. And that you're doing this for AI to start citing you for that and bringing you to those viewers who are watching you. Yeah. So you are more of the brain on this. What do you have to say about how to actually talk to AI to make sure you are site worthy?
I really love this. And here's what the way I think about it. So I think that if I were going to write a book, like I could probably write like 2 or 3 different books on different subjects that are sort of interrelated based on the knowledge I have and the career path I've had over the last 20 years. If I were to do that, my goal with each book would be to cover all the information I want to cover, to explore the topics. And by the time the reader is done, I would want them to be familiar with like, oh, if I talk about this aspect of it, they would immediately grasp that. They would understand like, oh, this is from this and this, how this connects to that, like all the connections that you would want to make in a really good book. When we publish a single article on the internet or a single page, we don't really think about it in those terms. But what this whole landscape, the way it's emerging and what it's turning into is pointing to is that you need to think about all this stuff as an interconnected book. The AI is reading it all as a book. It reads your stuff as a compendium of things. Hopefully your topics are connected in some way. Hopefully there is, connection between ideas and things that you explore. You're exploring the different aspects of things. You're like building this picture. You're almost building like a house from all these different pieces of information. And hopefully your house makes sense from the outside when viewed by an AI. So it's not just this mishmash of information. It's tightly connected things. It is a continuous and connected exploration, a deep exploration of particular topics. Like you really need to think about the whole thing as if you're writing a book, and that you want the takeaway for the person reading the book to be a full scope understanding. That will help the AIs kind of, figure out where we are. Like you imagine you go to the mall, you see that big map says you are here. That provides the full context of where you are right there. That's what the AI wants to achieve when it is looking at information and dissecting it. And that is exactly how these engines are working now. So you want to paint a clear picture. The AI needs to know where it is, and your stuff needs to make sense.
And the shorter, the better. Basically, you got to talk to it. Like it doesn't care about how many words it is. It just cares about, like I like the word site worthy. And it's interesting. The first time I've kind of done this graph, it says site worthy, like site, SITE.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I'm sure that's what it kind of how he talked about it. And I was like, site worthy, what does that mean? But it actually cite. I use citation.
Well, your content needs to be site worthy, like worthy of posting on your site, or else it will not be site worthy. So this is actually a good little.
So the big takeaway for those of you watching here is find a couple things that performed really well in the past, and for you to start being ranked with AI and getting traction. If you have a business, if you want to be mentioned in the news, because everybody's using AI for research these days. So start looking at what content actually made was popular over the last couple of years, and rewrite it. Maybe ask one of your AIs to help you rewrite it in the way that is site worthy, and publish that on your site or whatever medium you use, because that's what AI is going to start liking to digest.
Well, let's crank this up a notch. Using ChatGPT or Claude, you can go create a new project. You can stick each of your art. Let's say you pick out like 10 articles or something from your website. You can put them all in like an individual document, Word doc, or Google Doc. You can feed each one of those into the project as context, or you can put it into like a markdown file, however you want to do that. Feed those in there as context, and then ask it to write things based on that that you can then put onto your site. But you can do some synthesis work, that kind of thing, play with those tools, play with projects, get familiar with that sort of thing, and get a handle on what this content preparation is going to look like.
Well, listen, I shared this a couple of weeks ago. I had my first prospect who found me, and my deal size is pretty large. My first prospect found me on ChatGPT, and he sent me like the prompt that he used to find me. That was really fun. And you bet that one of the first things I'll do once my new site is running on PageMotor, cannot wait. I will be optimizing it for that, because I want to be ahead of the game. I want to be doing this, as we were talking about here, to make sure that I am site worthy, and I'm helping AIs to find me a lot faster, because what is that? Early bird gets the worm.
Yep.
I want to be that bird. So, and then
there's a thing people always come back to in this, like, oh, AI writing the content. I don't want AI writing my content. Look, I totally get it. But here's the deal. Here's the truth about reality. Anybody famous you've heard of who has a book, they almost certainly didn't write that book. Everybody you know of who's like a big time person who has a book, a huge percentage of them used something called a ghostwriter. That's somebody who writes the book. They have a few meetings with that person. They distill, that person hands them a bunch of documents or says, here's the main ideas I want you to explore. The ghostwriter writes the thing, and then they publish it. So it's really the words of the ghostwriter. Now, I'm not suggesting AI is as good as a super high quality ghostwriter. It's not quite like that. However, there's this idea about like the sanctity of you writing your thing. Well, nobody got time for that necessarily. And the high achievers who you're probably trying to emulate aren't actually doing that. They're having somebody else do it. So I think we need to dispel this notion that like we're too good to have AI write a thing. We're certainly not too good to have AI write a very cogent rough draft. AI is very, very good at writing structured documents. And if you followed that same structure and applied your own style to it, your own linguistic flair, it would be a good document. Probably better than something you'd write on your own.
Yep. Rant was incoming. There you go. Rant is over. Love it. Anyway, and one more piece of homework for you. Go watch that interview with Dharmesh. Really highly fun.
Dharmesh is cool. He's got a modern remake of a mid-century modern home. So it's a really cool house that he's sitting in. And I just love the guy. He still writes code. He gets in the trenches and does his own work.
Yeah.
And Rowan's like, why do you do this, bro? He's like,
he doesn't manage anybody either. He was very clear. He's like, I don't want to manage any people. I don't want to. He doesn't have any phone calls.
That's my love language. Yep. No reports.
Anyway,
nothing on the calendar.
I know. Anyway, moving on. So that was your practical tip on what to do with this. So because a lot of people are like, what am I supposed to do with this AEO, GEO? This is what you do with it. So go have fun. And moving on, next segment we're going to do is a deep dive on the news of the week, which is Nvidia's news. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to share with you guys a presentation. I didn't do it, but it's.
Yes, you did.
Well, I did, but.
Your ghostwriter did it, but your name's on the book.
Right. So, can you see this?
Yes.
Is it going in
how we got here? Because we'll explore this later.
Hold on. Is this going in the whole window or not? Because I'm
no. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay. So I want to present this first because this is the news. We're doing the deep dive, and then I'm going to show you the picture that demonstrates this really well. Is that what you're asking me?
No. Saying this is a little presentation you made, but you made this inside NotebookLM.
Yes. So I'm going to show you what I did, and then I'm going to show you. I'm actually like, I have a demo about this. Okay. So I've got the plan.
Demo incoming.
Yeah. So the news of the week was big news. Like every week we're like, what else can happen? Well, this week I could not believe my eyes. Nvidia is giving away the store. So we're going to unpack the strategy behind the free release of the Nemotron 3 model family. What the heck is that? So what is it? So Nvidia just released 3 models. Well, they released just one, but there's more.
It's an open source LLM.
Open source LLM, correct. So you can see what the models are like. You can see the technology. I'm not gonna, go over that. The capabilities is 1 million token context window, optimized for multi-step reasoning and agentic tasks. And key detail, it's fully open permissive license, free for full commercial use, no royalties. So the stack is the way it's training data and tools are all available. All right. So it's available now on Hugging Face. You can go and download, if that's what you want to do. So those are the news. But Nvidia doesn't really sell models, right? It sells GPUs. So that's what kind of caught my attention. I was like, what are they doing? Aren't there like a bunch of their customers, like OpenAI? I mean, there's like pretty much anybody in AI is using Nvidia's chips. And over 80 to 90% of Nvidia's profits come from hardware. So the free and powerful models now are ultimate driver for hardware sales.
You got to run them on something.
Yeah. And so the bait is the models, right? The training data, the recipes. But the hook is, guess what that's running on? It's proprietary and profitable.
NVIDIA's GPUs. Now, you don't have to have an NVIDIA GPU to run it. Any GPU will do. But if you have a GPU, it's almost certainly from NVIDIA. So there you go.
Right. So it's kind of like the Android for AI playbook.
It's also optimized for the NVIDIA GPU architecture. So the models will run at peak efficiency on their stuff. Shocker.
Right. So, but it's also a deeper play to lock in the ecosystem. So here we see, kind of the United States. Basically, what I think NVIDIA is also trying to not have is Chinese companies kind of step on their toes.
Well, I think this probably was mentioned in the agreements with Trump and all that. It's like if we sell GPUs over there and China has the only open source model anybody cares about, that's the direction everything will ultimately go. So probably can't do that. But if NVIDIA came to the table and said, look, we're baking all these great open source models, the future's going to run on this, you might be like, oh, okay, seems less risky.
Well, and then they lower the barrier to entry for the entire AI ecosystem, which overwhelmingly runs on their hardware. So I think it's a really smart move to do this. But I was just trying to figure out how in the world they're going to make money doing that, when of course they will be making money. So I mean, did you see this? Like, was this on your bingo card that they will do something like that?
Something had to give here. No, I didn't see Nvidia. I didn't know they were actually playing around. Like, this to me is software. The models are software.
Right.
And, you know, their game is hardware. So I didn't know that was even occurring. I didn't know they had engineers on this kind of thing. But the need for an American open source model that is noteworthy, definitely apparent. We saw it kind of from a different angle. We saw it from the unpredictable compute costs, inference costs that these wrapper companies are trying to provide. And it's like, it's a sink or swim thing for them. Like, costs could change to the point where their business is no longer viable. So they need a different answer. The other corollary to that I have talked about on here and I've experienced through my work is that you don't need these crazy models. I don't need ChatGPT to come out with GPT 87.0 with this advanced reasoning capability to do the most amazing stuff you've ever seen. I don't need the models beyond what they are right now.
Well, but here's the question. So does this move compress the value of proprietary models like GPT and Claude and all of that, or just add a new cheaper layer below them, right? Like in the first pyramid, you can see the open models. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. China is flooded with open models. They have so many open models. It's ridiculous. How many does America have? I mean, Llama, and now we have Nemotron, which is fascinating.
Let's think about it like this. So if you have everybody going to like the main prompts at Claude, at OpenAI, wherever, you can only do so much.
Right.
You can only do so much. And you can provide wrappers and stuff, but like that unpredictability is going to make that landscape expand more slowly because there's too much risk involved. If you have the open source thing, it is a more decentralized thing. So that it's pushed out to the edges. A lot more nodes receive the power. And they also have this proposition where you can do whatever you want with it. So you can try to build things. More things can be attempted to be built, which means we can attempt to achieve more outcomes with AI. And if you want the landscape to expand as far out and as fast as possible, you have to take this approach.
Mm-hmm.
So for the expansion of business along the lines of AI, this is absolutely necessary. And like I said before, the fact that we don't need that much compute to do amazing things, that's really the key thing. We just need to push the AI out to the edges ASAP.
Well, so there's going to be two different scenarios, right? Compression, that you know, like 80% of capability costs 10% of the price, and then the premium so you basically, I guess, use the models, but then the expensive models compress. And
I think it's bad for the proprietary models.
Get in trouble, or enterprises just simply adopt a hybrid stack and then use the Claude and GPT and others for like frontier problems, just like to really go there when they really need them. But the routine tasks are, you know, for the open models. So,
I think we are going to find out that we really don't need the big models for much.
Well, I mean,
I think that's going to unfold over a multi-year basis, but I think I'm sorry, I'm not seeing a whole lot of point.
I'm just thinking ChatGPT's plans just looking more and more faint to me in terms of what they want to accomplish, because the answer between these two scenarios will define the AI market in the next 12 to 18 months. So,
well, the whole thing, you know, there's this race for AGI, and it's just a funny thing because I see this meme played out in other ways in life, and it cracks me up every time. But it's like first of all, who can define what AGI actually is? Like, how will you know when you actually get there? It's not like landing on the surface.
Microsoft wants to
like,
define
I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, what is AGI? And second of all, if you actually win that race to the finish line, well, what did I win?
I know.
What happens now?
I think regular people like us, we just want to have access to like the code that we can actually create something with, and not constantly look at how much credits, you know, is it going to cost us or whatever. And in terms of coding,
eventually it will converge on the price of electricity.
Well, okay, so let's take a bet, and then whoever is watching this right now, do you think it will be scenario A, compressed, right? The model's going to be compressed, or do you think scenario B, that it would be kind of stratification where open models are used for routine tasks and then everybody else? I think it's gonna, like, I don't think Claude is gonna go away, so I'm kind of putting my bet on scenario B. But what do you think?
Well, the big models have one thing working for them. If they can define workflows that are indispensable to people, that will determine their staying power. But it's workflows. It's not damn models.
Well, and Little Birdie has been releasing the fact that Claude is getting ready to release their more of agentic flow, and so is OpenAI. They're working on that, and they're trying to compete with each other. But we don't want to talk about this today because it's not news yet. It's just the leaks. Anyway, so for builders, this creates immediate optionality. So for you guys watching, so it's the end of vendor lock-in. You can run your Nemotron Nano locally on consumer hardware. It's going to be expensive, but it's going to be yours if you really want it. Or you can be, you can go ahead and there's certain, and I'll talk about the options where you can go over there and get your own, kind of rent the space, I guess.
Yeah, I looked at this whole flow before the show because I was like, what would a setup be for PageMotor if I was going to do this?
Right. So there you go. This is how you do it. Run it locally. Use hosted APIs if you don't want to spend $2,200 to $3,000. That's a one-time hardware purchase. So if you don't want to do that, it's best for developers with existing GPU hardware or those who need total control and privacy. You can run it locally. Those who don't want to deal with that, big upfront investment, you can pay.
This is the way right here. This is what people will do.
40 cents per million tokens. Start with free credits. Can sign up on Together AI, deep infra, get your API key and start working.
So basically those companies have leased a bunch of GPUs at data centers, and then they now package that up and sell that compute to you in this way. They're leasing it to you basically.
Or you can join buildnvidia.com developer for developer program, get 1,000 API credits for signing up, and then use that model. So these are the 3 things you can do today if you want to start playing with this and seeing what you think.
So for PageMotor, for example, it has a built-in AI agent on the admin side and on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
The front end one is the one I've talked about where like if you had, so like for your site that we demoed, you had like salary questions and recruiting, like what kind of job would be right for me? Have this AI find like this type of sales role would be right for me. And then, you answer the questions, it does some compute and it tells you like, here's expected salary, here's the industries, blah, blah, blah. That requires compute. If you were going to run that on the front end of your site through Claude or something, it would cost a lot of money. Gemini, you could do a limited number of things for very cheap, which is pretty good. That's better. And then best, though, would be that you really just pay some incredibly marginal cost and could have, thousands of visitors a day run this and not blow your compute all to hell.
Yeah.
This is how you would do that. You would run your own LLM, open source LLM, like this nano model or whatever it's called.
It's called Nemotron.
Nemotron. Terrible name.
Nemo.
Too many syllables.
Nemo.
Yeah,
Nemotron.
I'm calling it Nemo. Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
So you run Finding Nemo on your little leased thing, and then you've got, you got fixed costs. They call it a cost per hour to run this thing, and it's usually like 30 or 50 cents to $1 per hour. So it might cost you, $24 a day to have this agentic thing on your site that can handle infinite requests from customers and really answer questions and direct people to the right place. So, that is really cool. And that's definitely going to be like I've looked at, well, how would I deploy this if somebody's building a site or they want a site, a business, and they want to have this, looking at what their compute costs would be, it's like, oh, that looks pretty bad. You don't really want to lock people into that. But with a solution like this, it starts to look a lot more viable. So this is definitely going to happen. I think once we nail this, you'll see a lot of websites with AI assistance on the front.
Right. I mean, I look at this difference in price per million tokens. It's crazy.
Yeah. Not even
15
close.
cents to $10 a GPT. It's insane. So I think it's pretty hot news.
There's another point about this. This is super nerdy, but this is what we do here. So when you have your own model, you can do something very interesting. So like if you run PageMotor and you're running the AI agents on there, every time you run a request, I mean, there's ways to do this a little more efficiently, but we'll just talk about it in gross terms for now. Every time you run a request, it sends all the PageMotor documentation along with that request. That eats up tokens.
Yeah.
It would be better if the model just knew what all the stuff was.
Right.
If you run your own LLM, there's 2 different ways you can train it. You can train it with a prompt every time, or you can add it to the model weights. depending on the complexity of what you're trying to do, how frequently stuff changes, and how much pain in the ass you want to take on to run this thing over time, you can do it one of those two different ways. But that way, you're only getting the information from the client, like the actual prompt itself, and not all this extra context unless it's necessary.
Yeah.
And that cheapens the cost per query as well. So you have ways to lower the cost even more beyond what you have by querying like Claude or Gemini or something like this.
So this is like, I think this is probably better news for like operators like you and like developers who are building things. For like people like me who still likes to go and like get my answers and prompts or whatever, I'm still sticking with the frontier models because they're like more user friendly, right? So this is really right.
Yeah. I think I lost you there. It froze up.
No, that's what the wins are and complications. So this is really good news for people like you. For people like me, that's actually not bad news either, because that means that overall usability of AI is going down the payment. So that means the costs hopefully either will be passed eventually to the consumer when we're using AI products, or that means more profit for whoever makes those services or whatever with AI.
Well, every time you run a request, a compute, we'll say every time you do compute, there's an electricity cost, and then there's other costs that you are paying based on the way the landscape currently is.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we could get that cost per compute as close as possible to the cost of electricity. That'd be the way to do it, the absolute cheapest. So there's going to be an inexorable race towards that asymptotic value, the price of electricity, for all of these things. And any company that wants to do it as efficiently as possible is going to need to try and do that. Now, I like this topic because this is the future of every business that's using AI. It's going to have to do something like this to be cost effective. There's going to be very specific cases where you're going to need more stuff, and those companies are going to have to figure out their own things. But for pretty much everybody else, this is where it's converging.
Yeah, and you already kind of covered. You covered page motor. We kind of talked about what that means for market dynamics, for enterprise adoption. So that's the deep dive, guys. Pretty impressive what Nvidia just came up with.
America has a relevant open source model.
Thank God. So, and on this note, I actually wanted to show you, I hope it didn't, I hope this was interesting for y'all, especially for those who are building products. I think this is like really big news of the week, in my humble opinion.
I like knowing where the ball is going, because it prevents you from making a decision now that locks you into something you can't sustain.
Yeah, it has to go somewhere where it's going this direction. So in a way, this is the one.
This is Miro.
Yeah. Well, I generated this. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right.
That's so cool.
I need to have two screens. This is what I need to do.
Note the text on this image though. This AI generated image from Gemini 3.0. Like, legit, the text is so good. It didn't do misspellings, no hallucinations, no weirdness. Like,
well, we'll talk about how it does this. We'll talk about how it does this, but because it's very interesting how it's interesting. But basically, the image is a really cool image that shows that Nemotron is literally the Trojan horse. It's free, everybody use it, and then Nvidia creates a moat that their chips are being used, their values being driven, and what's more important, they are giving access to play to players that may not have been able to play in the past, or it was too expensive or whatever, right? So that's kind of
this helps push it all out to the nodes, which is where it needs to go anyway if we're going to capture as much as possible.
So anyway, go check it out. Go download it if you want to. Go play with it.
You can get it on Hugging Face and then stick it on your own GPU if you're that big of a nerd. If you are, I salute you.
Right. Because we've got the thing about. Can you see this?
You clicked on the link. There it is. Look at that.
Yeah, so it just basically Claude did this, run locally, try online. It kind of tells you where to go, build Nvidia.com, how to run it locally, and start today. So there you go. Have fun with it. Experiment. Moving on to the next part of it, unless you have something else to
no.
Take
ready
away
for,
on this.
ready for what's next.
So next thing for us is going to be, we're going to do a AI economics piece about a company that, for those of you who are new here, every week we review. Is this good?
Nope. Maybe it's changing.
Oh, yeah. I need to share this.
There we
Now?
go. Let's see if you can do it.
Okay. So every week we review the company where we've got this 50 companies AI companies that make money already, that other startups are paying them for services. So it starts with OpenAI. Obviously, everybody knows them. So these are AI companies that already make money and successful because they are, they're growing, they're on the list.
These are the tools everybody's using. Basically.
Yes, everybody's using, all the growing companies are using this, and we're taking them one at a time every week, and we're doing a deep dive. So all the orange ones we already kind of dove down, and if you want to learn more about their pricing model, business model, how they've grown to what they, how they've grown, but more importantly, what are their actual costs like? Because right now, when it comes to AI pricing, it's a wild, wild west. All right. Everybody, especially companies that are wrapping AI and selling it with some kind of service or something like that, they are trying to figure out how to do this. SaaS pricing, non-SaaS pricing, usage-based pricing. So we are here going in a deep dive. So if you're building your own product, you sort of can start learning what's working, what's not working, and what kind of to stay away from. So today we are diving in a company called Micro One. And I actually have never heard of them, even though it's a recruiting company. So what is Micro?
Olga's the queen of recruiting, in case you didn't know. Sales recruiting.
We do, we have, it's a sales recruiting. That's what we do. So do you want to kind of cover what they do, or do you want me to go?
Well, yeah, let me talk about it real quick. So first of all, this segment points at a shifting nature of employment in the AI era. That's the most fascinating thing about the piece. But what is interesting, so this kid from Stanford was messing with AI at Stanford. He gets out and he is trying to work on AI enhanced hiring for engineers. And he figures out that the existing model, Olga, you can talk about the existing model, but basically you go hire somebody, you pay a placement fee for that individual. So if you hire somebody who makes $150K salary base, then you're going to pay something like what, 10% or 20%? So $30,000 for that hire. Yeah. So if you're hiring someone who has $150,000 annual salary, it's going to cost you $30,000 with this recruitment firm to get that person. But the problem with this is not all the people that get hired are really great matches. There's issues with that. There's issues prior to that on the pipeline of getting people in there, getting the right interviews, asking the right interviews, refining the interview process, that kind of thing. So there's a whole lot of bumps in this process that can be smoothed out and enhanced. And AI is really the clincher here. AI can examine more people's profiles out on the internet. It can examine more work histories. It can do very specific and consistent analysis of candidates to really identify the people who should be interviewed for a position. It can do this more effectively than humans, just because it is applying the same pattern over and over and over in a way that humans would get fatigued. So there's a whole lot of leverage in sales hiring. So that's what this kid from Stanford, I forget, it's Ali something. He keyed in on this.
Ali Ansari
realized that the broken thing in this model where he could get a lot of leverage is the placement fee. It's a really high placement fee. Like only companies that are established can afford to spend $30,000 to hire someone who has a $150,000 base. So that right there limits the amount of people you're going to be able to work with. And it also is a big opportunity for somebody like Ali who wants to build a new model on this.
Right.
So I'll let you take it from here because this is where it gets interesting from sales hiring perspective.
Well, they're not doing sales hiring. They're doing
engineering hiring. I used the wrong term.
Yeah, thank you. Engineering hiring. So it's very specific to AI. So it's AI talent that they're helping place for other companies. And 8 months, about 8 months ago, I guess they shifted and they went from 7 million ARR to 100 million ARR. And they shifted into data annotation for AI training. So recruiting platform is the interface, but the revenue engine is supplying vetted experts to train AI models as contractors who bill monthly forever. So that's
so the people that they are getting hired are out there building AI systems for companies.
So again, remember, we hear this every week. Specific niche, specific niche. It's always going to be something specific, a niche, because that is a very niche thing, right? And it's also very, very wanted kind of thing. So they've got engineers, they've got AI ML specialists that they're kind of doing that. So
but what made them so attractive? What did they do differently?
So well, a lot of things that they do differently, but they use AI for interviews. And so they set it up where AI makes the platform 100 times faster at initial screening. So their system can screen thousands of candidates per month, not dozens. So initial screening is probably one of the most labor intense processes, right? Because you got to schedule, you got to find, you got to schedule, you're gonna interview them. Anybody who's ever hired anybody, you know how. I mean, this is why the traditional hiring is broken. We talk about this all the time, right? It's not just the fee per hire; it's how many placements or developers can a recruiter actually place. The process is slow, manual, relies heavily on human screeners. But they figured out in this world, again, in AI, powered vetting engine, they notice that their real business for them isn't the recruiting, it's supplying vetted talent for AI training. And so now they've sort of made the playbook where they use AI in the beginning of the recruiting process. They conducted 400,000 AI interviews. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of interviews. I'm sure those people who are being interviewed, they may not like it, but again, they work in AI, so maybe they do like it. I don't know.
I'd be curious at a minimum.
That could work for them. So they're seeing that 54% of AI-vetted candidates pass the final human interviews versus 34% from traditional screening. And I guarantee you, they're teaching their model. They're learning from every single screen who's passing, who's not passing. It's not human anymore. There's a lot of leverage that comes from that training. And then once they find somebody, you kind of rent them. So you rent those people.
This is the thing. This is the thing.
They're not direct hiring. At least I wasn't able to find anything about.
No, they've shied away from that. They just do the short-term contracts and it's a rental.
So every hire that works becomes a subscription, and they get it monthly. And so
let me talk about what I love about that, because I hear you talk about this and it's amazing. So the inherent risks of the old hiring process where you pay the big placement fee is this person the right fit? They're going to be there. You put all these resources into it up front, and only if they don't make it like 6 months, then you've really lost a lot of money. Also, so many positions are like kind of quick burnout, high turnover. Like somebody might last for 1 to 2 years. And really, as far as your business projections, you may only have it in your mind. Like you only may be able to see 12 months down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And, the picture may change. You may not really need that person. Or you may have achieved this objective, and then it's on to something else. So paying the placement fees doesn't really fit in a lot of these real world business contexts. Yeah. How do you solve that? Well, instead of paying the placement fee, you remove that upfront risk, and now you just rent somebody, and your price is like $8,000 a month. Under salaried conditions, it might have been $7,000 a month, but hey, you got $30,000 of catch up here. until your break even point. So you've got a lot of lag on that. You could rent somebody for 2 years and still not catch up.
Right.
So that is a superior model.
So they bill the client every month, right? They're not doing invoicing anymore. I think that's what the big thing was there too. It's a Stripe thing, because a lot of times in these companies that do it's a contract to work. So the company has this upfront investment into paying the contractor and then collecting money from the company later, and that takes months. But instead they're like, you paying us every month, and then they're taking care of this contractor, and then paying them whatever, collect the pay. I'm sure there's healthy profit on that. And so here you can sort of see how it adds up, right? And why they're growing so fast, and why this recruiting company is at 100 million ARR already.
So they're collecting 15 to 25% of the pay. So if you're getting an engineer, if you're hiring one for $10,000 a month, then this company is getting $1,500 to $2,500 of that money each month, and the rest goes to the engineer.
Exactly, right. So revenue compounds, infrastructure lock-in, because they don't have to worry about people, compliance. They're prevented. They're happy. They don't have conversion. At least I don't see conversion policy. And
they specifically do not at this time.
Right. So Micro One optimizes for contractor retention, and they don't call themselves a recruiting agency. It's a SaaS company applied to labor. So every good hire becomes a subscription.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, you go ahead. You do first.
I think it works. Again, it works with companies that have very accountants, something where it's very specific and this really well, and you can duplicate that, because I guarantee you their interviews are very specific, and they train, and AI is changing. Oh my gosh, look at us every week. So there's so much that their model has that good luck to any other company that's trying to hire this type of labor right now without knowing all the latest and the greatest that Micro One knows about this, right?
Here's what I love. We have talked about this with your business, and recruiting in general has an alignment problem. It has an incentive alignment problem. The incentives of the recruiting agency don't always match the incentives of the companies. And that's the way the pricing is done doesn't really work. Just the whole process, it doesn't line up.
Yeah.
Micro One has achieved a much better alignment. This monthly thing, they have a reason for, they want you to keep this person on the monthly retainer, because that's how they get paid.
Mm-hmm.
If you're keeping them on the monthly retainer, that's because they're producing results that you wanted.
Exactly. I mean, you're happy. Everybody's happy.
I'm like, yeah.
Everyone is making money, and you've got the latest of the talent, because they're the one who are taking the hardest thing of recruiting those people and join them, and running with that, and competitive pay.
Here's another thing I love. Founders, if you ever dabbled in startup stuff, they end up spending a ton of time on compensation, employment, and all this stuff. Doing what I do, I made the assessment years ago that I could not spend that energy on that. I would not be doing anything else. It would just sap me out completely. It would burn out all of my energy on those initiatives. And I'm like, I didn't build a business because I want to hire and deal with the employee compensations of this. I want to make software. I want to build machines.
Yeah.
So this kind of solves some of those problems. I just love it so much. I would want to hire like this. I do not want to hire traditionally.
So another thing that we didn't talk about is that you pay a subscription fee. It starts at $89 a month. That covers 20 AI interviews. So they tie it right to the actual interviews, and then it goes to $399 a month. And then enterprise could be anywhere from 20 to 60,000 a year. That's just subscription for AI vetting access.
Yeah.
And then pay contractors monthly. That adds up between $30 to $90 an hour for engineers, and $80 to $100 for AI ML specialist. And so that's kind of their model, is they're charging subscription, and then they're charging for contractors. So
I want to make a point though. This is the first company we've examined whose product is people.
Yeah. Well, the product is technology using.
Right, but that's what's being acquired. You're not getting graphics. You're not getting a workflow. You're getting actual people.
There's a lot of people. But let's look. Here's what I want to talk about. Let's look at their costs, because I was actually surprised to see what their costs are like, because costs to me show what is the company really all about. All right. So right now, They have 100 million ARR with 326 employees. That's 307,000 revenue per employee. It's very healthy, very healthy. Now look at their costs. They spend 30 to 40% on AI compute costs. So that's a lot higher than typical SaaS. So they have 400,000 AI interviews, 30 minutes each, live coding, screen share, conversational assessment. I'm sure they've got some stuff to prevent cheating, because that's been becoming really big. And their proprietary model is built on OpenAI, and that's where they're exposed to LLM pricing changes. Well, remember that graph that we talked about with Nvidia's Nemo model? I mean, I know who is excited about
they're looking at this
news.
They're looking at this.
I guarantee you they're looking at this already. And then cost scales with volume, but creates defensible mode through training data. So they're spending a lot of money on that.
They're going to hire an engineer through their own process to fix this for them.
It's happening. It's happening. People cost is also a pretty big thing for them. Obviously, one human oversees what used to require 10 recruiters. AI handles initial screening. Again, that works for this kind of role and position. Contractor payment is anywhere from $38 to $100 an hour.
Which is pretty good.
They keep between 15 to 25% spread. I love that they found this niche, AI specific talent, which is, everybody talks about it. Like, this is where it's moving. This is where it's heading. And they are printing money on this. This is amazing. And then they've got the recurring revenue model per contractor. So everybody that is good, they know they're going to be making money on that person for a long time.
They have incentive to be able to find the right people.
Yep. It's a product-led growth. So found a podcast, content, community. So they don't do a lot of ads.
So basically every person in San Francisco at a startup is telling every other person they should use this for hiring.
Right. Marketing. So it's a hot topic. Everybody wants to work in AI these days when it comes to tech. So that's pretty fun. And their compliance, payroll, platform infrastructure, Strap subscriptions, all of that stuff, it's 10 to 15%. So that's their kind of where the dollar goes. So what are they left with? Let's see. So traditional recruiting agency, there's no way traditional recruiting agency can scale the way they have scaled.
No.
Because again, that's why people come to recruiters, because they want something specific and something this and something that. And they literally made it,
They achieve better alignment.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So what do you think about this?
Well, I want to tie this back to the question that the Joggler asked earlier about the nature of employment, AI replacing jobs and all that. The nature of jobs is changing. We're going to see a lot more of this gig economy type stuff. People working on these short-term contracts. The reason why, when the pace of everything is quickening, and when things move faster, things are less permanent. The salaried paradigm that we've all been through is a more permanent fixture. It doesn't really speak to today's landscape. This type of employment does. Humans will be doing higher level tasks in shorter term engagements, solving problems, molding things within specific contexts, and then moving on to do something similar in a different context, or moving on to something else entirely, because the way this whole thing works, you can develop a new skill in a week and then go start applying that until you get burnt out and do something else. So
amazing.
It's very interesting. I am way more blown away. Like, when I first read about the company, I was like, oh, this is boring to me. And like, it's not boring at all getting into this. This is actually really fascinating because of the larger societal trends that this is pointing to. And also just knowing from your business how big of a problem alignment is, to see it done properly here is like, whoa.
Well, and I want to show this this thing again. Look how they are in top 10 AI companies that other growing companies spend money on. So they're doing pretty well. So, good for them. A great way to see how somebody jumped in this opportunity to really create, a moat where they are the company. I mean, there's a lot of tech recruiting companies that are probably scratching their heads. They're like, what's happened here?
Yeah.
But
well, their growth pretty much mimics the AI explosion. The company
Yeah.
was founded in 2022, went up to 7 million ARR by March.
Yeah.
And then it went from 7 million to 100 million this year. As everything expanded and exploded, people wanted to have AI consultants to do things within their businesses. This is obviously where everybody went. You don't go from 7 to 100 and not be the main game. Like
Yep.
you're the main game in town.
So what can you learn here? How can AI help you with whatever? I mean, they took the recruiting process, they figured out how to AI-fied it, AI-fi, whatever. Make it with AI, right? They build their workflows with that. They scaled it so human now oversees the process instead of actually participating in the process. And clearly they're doing a good job because it's mostly product-led growth, which means people refer them to other people. So great
Here's
job.
Here's what stands out. Recruiting is a high human touch point activity. You have the search for candidates and vetting and kind of figuring out who, you got to do selection. Selection is hard. Selection requires thought and consideration. That is tough. And then you have the interviewing, which is really the heavy-handed touch point thing. Like they interviewed 400,000 people. I don't even want to guess how many people you'd have to actually interview 400,000 people.
A lot.
It'd be terrible. Way more than their staffing numbers. So
For
they have removed the human touch point aspects of the business that are difficult, but also procedural. And that to me is so instructive. Even though something could be difficult, if it's still procedural, it's a candidate for AI replacement. And the potential gains from figuring that out are enormous. 7 million to 100 million in a single year. They had a good 2025. They are having champagne right now. So
no, for sure. Love it. This is great. Another great, I love learning about all the AI companies and AI economics because they operate differently, they think differently. And there's always, I'm learning always something. I'm like, how can I do this in my business? Maybe focus only on sales people with AI skills. I don't know.
I think there's some instructive stuff here. We might have to unpack this later.
Something for me to think about.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've done the flash news, we've done 2 deep dives, we've done AI economics, segment for you guys. We've got one more left, which is the funding, which I think I'm going to leave funding to the end.
Yeah. Let's have you show off.
And then I will do the demo.
Yes.
So you all noticed that I've been using Mirror for showing things that I've prepared, which
that's the vision board with the images.
Right. So what I want to kind of show now is everybody who has Google also gets access to NotebookLM.
This is brand new.
Well, I don't think it's brand new.
It's not brand new?
It's
listen, it just matters when I learned about it. So it's brand new.
It's been around for a while, but I was always kind of thinking that it's something else and it's too complicated or this or that. And then this week I was like, I'm gonna go play with it and see what it's all about. And most importantly, like I asked my AIs, what would you use NotebookLM for? Because it's a Google product, and I was just really curious about it. And here's what I found out. So, and if you're using it already, I'd love to hear about this. But basically, what it is, can you see this?
Yeah, make it huge.
Okay. Can you see now?
Bigger. Okay. Computer enhance.
So it's a Google product. You go to basically notebooklm.google.com, which I will show the demo in a little bit. But before I do that, I wanted to show, why would you care? Like, right? If you're watching me, you're like, oh, Olga is using something again, whatever, who cares? But why would you want to, who cares about this thing? But this is why. One of the top uses for NotebookLM is pre-meeting briefings. So you upload a bunch of documents, which I'll show you how I've done that. And you upload transcripts, you upload all kinds of documents, and it summarizes whatever you want before the calls. You can ask any questions you want, and you show up prepared without rereading hours of material. Number 2 most common use of that, and you can use this for, is competitive intelligence. So you can upload 10 to 20 competitor reports, white papers, annual reports. I've seen people do that, especially maybe if you're like on stock trading, or I mean, I don't know, like it could be something where you're in sales and you got to watch maybe 20, 30 customers of yours. This is a great way to upload their maybe news page or some kind of things where it aggregates it, and you can compare the strategies. What are they doing? What are they not doing? So that's a place to come and bring it all together. Number 3, most common use is knowledge base. So this is awesome for operators like me, where you can upload handbooks, SOPs, internal documents, and they will create training materials for you. And you can, an employee can go and ask any questions. How would you do this? How would you do that? So that's another cool way to do that, and sort of tied to your Google Drive. Number 4 is content repurposing. You can upload webinar transcripts, podcast recordings, blog posts, and then it turns into posts and you can write in there. And another cool way of using it is audio overview. You can upload anything you want, research paper, summarize it, any kind of documentation, and you can generate AI podcast just for you, where 2 hosts will discuss it conversationally. So it's more interesting rather than reading it. You can make your breakfast, you can drive and kind of listen to it as you go. So a 50-page report becomes more fun to listen to while you're commuting or working out.
So real quick aside, what did you use to turn our last episode into a short form podcast?
This.
Okay. Yeah. So here's what she did. So she took our last episode, ran it through this, and then she's like, oh, create this podcast back and forth, one male, one female, and have them discuss like the summary of this episode. And it was pretty compelling, gang. Like, I kind of like this feature. I think you should probably play with this.
So I will show you now the nitty-gritty of what I actually worked on for this episode. And then I'm actually going to show you how, like, the actual working of the document. So if you look at this, this is what it looks like, right? So it's like I said, you go to NotebookLM.google.com, and you can see this panel over here. This is where you add all your sources, right? This is where the chat is happening, which I'll talk about in a second. And this is your studio. And you have all these options here. And again, it's available to anybody who's got Google. I don't think you need to have a paid account. No. But anyway, so this is all the options you can do. So let's take it a step at a time, right? So you kind of, first you go to, this is what you see. You can see all of your notebooks here. You go to the one, like you create one if you want one. So for this, it was Practical AI December 19 show. So you add the source here, and then when it's checked, so if you can generate whatever you want on this side. If everything is checked, it kind of makes it messy because it generates all over the place. But for you to have a conversation about what the documents are about, it's nice to have it checked. So when you ask anything here, any kind of question, like what kind of questions do you want to ask here, for example? What can we ask about today?
Can you summarize like the 2 biggest takeaways that people can go and use, to enhance their workflows from today's show? I didn't phrase that worth a dang, but hopefully you can figure it out.
Summarize 2 biggest takeaways my viewers can use from today's show.
Sure, perfect.
Okay, well, let's see. It summarizes, it looks at 7 sources right now, looking at all the uploads. Terrifying what will happen, but this is what happens. So it says, shift your strategy from ranking to being site-worthy. The most critical change for anyone creating content, which we talked about that, AI-driven reputation management. And number 2, adopt a hybrid stack to collapse infrastructure costs. Release of high-performance open-source models like Nvidia's Nemo has commoditized basic reasoning, allowing you to move away. So it went through all the documents uploaded, and this is what it decided. Yeah.
I love that. And I also love how all these models are converging on using contextual bolding.
Mm-hmm.
And it has design, something I've been preaching for years.
And look at this. Talk about citation. It has all the citations, so I can go to the document and pick that up. So what I thought I would do.
Right. It only cites the source material, so it cuts down massively on hallucinations. Like, it is really spot on.
So you just kind of, beat me to it. So one of the best things about using NotebookLM is the lack of hallucination, right? So we kind of looked at this one before, 1 week in AI updates. So this image came from the document about news, and it made this visual. And look at the text. So it's not hallucinating because it's actually using the document as the source. So there's no overthinking, there's no making stuff up. It's literally coming from your document, right? That you created. So that's the first awesome thing about it, is that there's no more hallucination. You can work with one document at a time if you want to create a nice little visual or something like that for it, or you can check all of them and have a conversation about the whole thing. You can sum it up as audio overview, you can do video overview. But what I wanted to do now is I'm going to add a source from Google Drive, and I'm going to add this thing that I created, the document that I haven't uploaded yet. And I wanted just to show you here with me. And this is, I named it When to Use NotebookLM. So like, how do you know? Like, you're like, Olga, who cares? It's good for you, good for your pod, whatever show. Why would I care? I don't really use anything like that. But I wanted to kind of show you when would you want to use it. And I'm going to create, and I don't know what it's going to create, but I am going to check this, and I'm going to go ahead over here, and I'm going to create, what should I create? Infographic?
Yeah, do an image, something exciting.
Okay, exciting and interesting.
I want to pay off.
So it's generating infographic based on this one document. I learned this the hard way. You don't want to check all of them because it's going to literally create the most complicated infographic out there. But while it's generating, look at all of this slide deck for the GPUs for my presentation that I did earlier. All of this is here saved neatly. So I can always go and put it anywhere I want. I can save it. I can share it. And that way it's kind of living it all here as I'm working and adding documents, one at a time or whatnot. So
while that's generating, I want to mention maybe the most underrated point of this whole thing, and that is the source material in the left-hand column. The more you break that down, the more granular it is, the better your results can be.
Yeah.
You can get tighter stuff. If you have so Olga noticed that if she uploaded a document with everything in it, all those separate documents on the left, if they were combined into a single document, results were a lot muddier. As soon as she broke them apart, results, magic. Images, magic. So that's been the trend, the theme. We've explored this in many shows, almost every one up to now. The more specific your input material can be, the better your outputs from the AIs can be.
So you can see here all the things we've covered today. And another thing I wanted to show you guys, you can add a document from a Google Drive. You can drop any file you want over here, PDF, anything. It can hold up to 300 sources in one notebook, right? And so you can add YouTube video if you want to analyze podcasts. So for example, no more watching. If you don't want to watch an hour podcast, for example, Dharmesh's an hour interview, you can put a link in here, right? And it will pull it up, and then you can ask questions. You can say, summarize it in 5 minutes. You can say, create mind maps. You can create, anything you possibly, it literally will create a conversational way of interacting with information. So if you've been postponing reading different articles or watching different shows, this is the way to organize them the way you want it. And then this is the document that's already ready. 7 signs you need NotebookLM. I have no idea how good it's going to be, but this is what it created based on the document that I had created with Claude before.
Oh, it just did this.
It just did this.
Sick.
So is this a NotebookLM? Is this a NotebookLM moment? 7 signs you need it. How much more engaging is this compared to the Word document that you had before, right?
I mean, it's wild. So I've been doing this 20 years. And I remember back in, we'll say 2010 to 2013, I was running a pretty significant content production system with the business, with DIY themes, blogging, emails, all that stuff. We routinely did infographics because that was becoming popular for people to share, and that was drawing a lot of attention. We didn't have a single infographic as nice as this. And it was a pain in the butt. I did like 3 of them in the beginning. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It takes too much time. We started paying, outsourcing for them to be done. We'd have a lot of back and forth. Like it was a big headache to get these things done. And it was just mid in the end. Like we weren't really that thrilled about it, but we needed the infographics because this is what was hot. And to be able to do this now like this at this level of quality, it just blew me away.
So here's here's what you can keep in mind, right? If you have a long document, report, contract to read, but have no time, upload it, generate an audio summary, or ask for 3 most important points. Sure, you can do it in AI and whatnot, but this is more interactive way of working with this, right? Another problem, you need to analyze competitor materials, but they're scattered across many files. This is the way to create something that visually will make sense for you, and then you can understand how it actually works. You need to get a new team member up to speed quickly. Again, just like you saw, you can put your SOPs or procedures and whatnot, and your new employees can chat and learn, or heck, maybe you sometimes need to do the same thing. You're studying a complex topic and material isn't sticking. That's another good way of using it. A key fact is buried somewhere across past emails, notes, and documents. This is how you find it. So basically, if you think I need to know what's in this, but I don't have time, which I don't think any of us really have a lot of time, this is a NotebookLM moment. I will be definitely using it for different projects in my life, to organize it better, to structure it better, and to keep it all, or definitely planning the episodes going forward as well. But for your business, this could be a really fun way to demonstrate, to create things for your customers, maybe explaining how your service works, maybe explaining, how you're different and whatever. This is a really awesome way, professionally done, not hallucinating. You don't have to struggle with Nana Banana trying to get it just right, because it's right here, right in front of you.
Well, here's one way to think about it. Most businesses aren't that comprehensive. With the amount of context window that you have in NotebookLM, a single notebook, you could pretty much put your entire business and associated ethos and all that into a single notebook, and then generate any graphic relevant to your business from that.
Yeah.
Any explanation, anything people need to know. You could do employee onboarding with something like this. I mean, the possibilities are absolutely endless. If you need information that is pulled, from a single knowledge base, your business is a knowledge base, probably not a very organized one at this time, but it could be with something like this.
Right.
This is a great way to do it. I think it's fascinating.
Well, I'm going to play this right quick. This is the audio summary that we did that you were laughing about. I don't know if we can hear it, but
I hear nothing. I think there's a special setting to make the audio from the computer pick up. We'll just get it through your microphone, if anything.
Okay. Well,
features.
There we go.
New AI tools. We want you to really understand who is making money,
and why some of the most valuable tech in the world is being given away for free.
And maybe most importantly, where that huge gap in human skill is widening inside your own company. We're all about strategy in the cold, hard economics today.
Let's start with Meta.
Yeah. They've been making.
How about radio voice personified there? My goodness.
That again, this is the 13-minute summary of the of our whole show from last week. It summed it up in 13 minutes, and I'm thinking, what can I do with it? But maybe we can post them. I don't know. We'll see. But this is just something that I'm playing with over here. Any questions, Chris, on this? Do you think I did a better job demoing this than last week's?
I mean, I think, some things are a little bit awkward to demo. Like this, This is a pretty high density of information. If it was just like a single thing, I think it's just a more poppy demo. But this show is about the tools that people are actually using to do things. This is the tool. I think this is an incredible demo. I think this is what people need to know.
Yeah, and again, I'm only gonna keep learning more and more about this, and I'm just encouraging, go check it out and see how you can use it in your life, in the business, whatever. It's just more fun. I wish this existed when I went to school. Oh my God, how much more enjoyable would it be to you know, to kind of learn this, because
Organizing a knowledge base is powerful.
like look at
amazing.
this mind maps, you know, like how well information is organized, it's flowing, it makes sense. It's beautiful.
A very flash feel for any of you old heads from Internet of Yore. Some of the way that thing expands, very flash.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's
Love to
move
see it.
on. Let's move on to AI funding right quick. So what happened this week, and then we will wrap this up.
We'll bust it up and then we'll say goodbye.
Yep, exactly. So what happened last week? So last week, a lot of things happened. Can you see this? My pretty purple.
Sure can.
All right. This is Claude did this.
I love Claude.
Total AI funding was 7.5 billion.
That number's up.
Yeah. It almost 68% went to AI. 67. 60% went to AI companies. 98, nearly half of all the funded companies are AI focused. Crazy. Average deal size was 76%. United States took the lead on the global distribution. Look how much money it raised. Europe is number 2. I mean, China, look at China, barely raising anything and still dominating with open.
They have 1 billion models. I don't trust those numbers.
That's crazy. So who raised money this week? Some familiar names. Databricks, data and AI platform that unifies data engineering, analytics, and machine learning. And it powers the infrastructure behind most AI applications. Noon, I don't know Noon. It's in Saudi Arabia. Middle East leading AI-powered e-commerce marketplace using machine learning for personalization and logistics optimization. Sierra, AI-powered data security platform, so security. And Lovable, we all know Lovable. They raised 330 million. Again, that's crazy. AI developer platform that lets anyone build software applications through natural language, democratizing software creation. What are they up to? I heard that one of the big investors, I gotta confirm this, is I believe HubSpot. So I wonder if they are somehow integrating with what HubSpot is doing for, because you know their mesh is pretty big into whole AI and all of that stuff. So I wonder if they're gonna integrate it with businesses that run on HubSpot and will have something to do with Lovable. I don't know.
We don't know yet, but I bet I know where I can hear about this stuff.
Yeah.
There's a show called The Practical AI Show.
I know.
I'll pick these up.
And Chai Discovery, it's San Francisco, using AI to predict molecular interactions and accelerate drug discovery. So any thoughts on this week's funding?
Do we have any larger trends, or like, you know, this much healthcare, this much that?
You can look at that in the other document.
All right, let's see if I can open it up. Here we go. I got it. Let's see. Software and information technology, 36 companies. Healthcare and life sciences, 26 companies. Cybersecurity, 11. That's way too high on security. That's gross. Financial services, 5. Manufacturing, 7. Sustainability and climate, 8. That's a shocker. And customer experience, 22 companies. As we've seen, those tend to be, you know, mostly located in Europe, which I think is interesting. And let's see, what else do we have? We talked about the big deals. Oh, let's see some trends. Mega rounds dominate. AI infrastructure gets the largest checks. Nothing new there. Healthcare AI reaches critical mass. So we got drug discovery. That was Chai. Medical devices, Nanit and Jutro Medical, and patient care platforms. Kind of boring stuff. I'm curious about those devices. Healthcare is moving from experimental to deployment phase. There's been some regulatory approvals and other stuff that have kind of greased that pathway to allow for more of that stuff to happen. I hadn't really considered that might be holding up some of the healthcare investment, because I've been maintaining this position that's underserved for now.
Mm-hmm.
We may see that increase. Let's see. Series A rounds, healthy early stage activity. There were 23 Series A rounds for $434 million, but that's not even a drop in the bucket overall. But as we know, investment money wants to build up a unicorn. That's not really Series A.
Yeah.
And geographic expansion beyond traditional hubs, whatever. So we had some new pops: Algeria, Estonia, and Poland. It's globalizing, development's globalizing, but this is happening everywhere. Two-thirds of investment dollars going to AI right now. Is there anything else?
Nope, I can't think of it.
I think electric vehicles is the only other thing
I
that
almost
exists.
want to have like a different segment, like where else is money going to, like what else is important. But then I was like, no.
Yeah, I don't want to be bored.
Not gonna do it. All right, well, hey gang, that's it. Hopefully you liked it, enjoyed it. Let us know which episodes you like, which episodes, I mean, what parts you like, what parts we should do more of, what parts we should do less of. I'm always very curious. I'm obsessed. I'm learning a ton. It's like I'm getting another degree right now in AI, and it's been really fascinating, and it's been very helpful in my business as well. So anyway, do you have anything else to add? Oh,
I want to know what tools you guys are using. If we haven't covered a tool or mentioned a tool and you guys are into one, I want to know about it. We want to cover it.
Yes, please, please, please. Chris, before we wrap up, what's the takeaway for you today?
Takeaway is an awareness of the changing nature of employment. Not this fear about AI taking jobs, but a recognition of the landscape is changing. Things are moving faster. There's more movement than before. We're used to static things like employment, salary. You're tenured there. You're stuck there for a while. It's not like that anymore. Be aware of that. If you're developing software that uses AI, this trend towards open source models and that type of compute, definitely the future. You definitely don't need frontier models and max level reasoning for pretty much any normal real world process.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Oh, the SEO game. It's citation optimization now. You're writing a book. Everything you do is part of that book. It should be connected. If you want your book to be good, it's going to have connected ideas. It's going to play on prior established themes. There's going to be a lot of connection. That's what your work on the internet, anything you publish, you want connection, lots of connection. So there it is. It's Christmas gang.
My big takeaway was I'm working on a company right now in AI space, and I want to see how I can use NotebookLM to organize the curriculum part that I'm working on. So I will be using.
Oh, that makes sense.
I will be using that for that, and also the other one is I'm excited to see how many new players are going to be coming up, and people are going to be doing like this is the time for possibilities with open source models being more accessible in the US. So I'm going to be watching that. But other than that, hopefully this was enough of visuals for everybody. And maybe
we got lots of them. One thing though, if you are interested, I published a video on this channel earlier this week. I'll do two things. So this is the first thing. There's a video on this channel earlier this week where I showed how to take a web page that AI generates and actually have it be a useful thing, not a static website, not something like that, something like in WordPress or in Page Motor, a better system, faster, more delightful, that kind of thing. So check that video out if you are interested. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool because you can take something that AI built that's fast, that's really good, professional level stuff, and use it. And we're talking about a process that encompasses many, many hours and maybe tens of thousands of dollars in the real world. And it's condensed into a video right there. We can see it all happen. So that's cool. And the second thing, I'm blanking on what the second thing I was going to say was, so I guess we're going to let it go.
I don't know, but Merry Christmas. That's what we're going to say.
There it is. Merry Christmas. See you guys later. We will be back on Friday.
Yes.
December 26th, because the show doesn't sleep unless it's an absolute holiday.
Because we don't want to skip the week because that's what we do. We don't skip a week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the chat. I can't wait to read all the comments. We'll see you later. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.